Well, guys, from Proverbs 25, reading from verse 21 to 28. If your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. If he is thirsty, give him water to drink. You'll heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you. And so it's easy to love the lovable, but to love your enemy is not so easy. And this is a New Testament principle. It's throughout the New Testament. In fact, this quote of heaping burning coals on his head is repeated in the New Testament. Just a metaphor, just for showing that person they'll feel the weight of their sin and be ashamed, because they don't deserve your love, but when they receive that love, it exposes them. And so we need to love everyone, not just those that are lovable, but also the enemy. In Matthew 5:44 it says, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Verse 23 of Proverbs 25, "The north wind brings forth rain, and a backbiting tongue an angry countenance." And so just like north wind will always bring rain, you'll always get an angry response, or you'll stir up anger when there's a gossiping or slander or backbiting tongue. And so we need to avoid and guard our tongues and make sure we don't get involved with that kind of slander. 24, it is better to live in the corner of a roof than in a house shared with a contentious woman. Again, another repetition for wives to make sure they're not dripping taps, that they continually on their husband's back, moaning, groaning, complaining. Another one, verse 21, Proverbs 21:9, it is better to live in the corner of a house than a house shared with a quarrelsome wife. And so when these proverbs are repeated, they need to be taken seriously. The corner of the house, they had flat roofs, an exposed corner, not a nice place to live, but better to live there than in the home with a quarrelsome wife. 25, like cold water to a weary soul is good news from a distant land. And so remember, there's no email, very slow postal service in those days. So when eventually that good news came, it was like receiving that cold, beautiful water in the desert. But on the other side, if you can imagine that beautiful water, that stream that you drink of, like a trampled spring and a polluted well, is a righteous man who gives way before the wicked. So if you can, you go hiking, you tramp through that stream, you muddy it, that's like something that's beautiful that's just tainted. And so when a righteous man gives up his virtues, Esau sold his right for some food. David caught in adultery, Samson gave in to Delilah. There's so many examples of Aaron giving in to the Israelites and making that golden calf. It's terrible when the righteous man falls like they did. Verse 27, it is not good to eat too much honey, nor is it glory to search out one's own glory. And so don't go and seek your own glory. Too much honey will make you vomit. Let others give you that seat of honor. Don't go look for it yourselves. Verse 28, like a city that is broken into and without walls is a man who has no control over his spirit. It's so important that a man has control over his spirit. A man must be self-controlled. He's got to have walls. He can't allow, he's got to put protection around him. He's got to watch his eyes, and specifically on cell phones. And so we've seen so many men fall into adultery and things. And so we as men, we need to put up those boundaries. In Proverbs 16:32 it says, whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules a spirit than he who takes a city. And so let's rule our spirit. Let's put up those walls so that no one can take that city. Amen.